Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said Israel will not stop its attacks on Hezbollah in Lebanon, despite calls from the United States, France and other allies for an immediate 3-week ceasefire. The Israeli Prime Minister told reporters that his government policy was actually clear, and he landed in New York, where he was saying that they're going to continue to strike Hezbollah with full force, and they will not stop until they reach their goals. Lebanon's Minister for Foreign Affairs, meanwhile, has said his country is enduring a crisis that threatens its very existence. Speaking at the UN General Assembly, he has said that his government welcomed yesterday's ceasefire plan by the US and France and demanded it be implemented. The leader of Yemen's Houthi rebels, meanwhile, said in a televised address earlier yesterday that the Iran-backed group will not hesitate to support Lebanon and Hezbollah as cross-border fire between the Lebanese group and Israel intensified. Meanwhile, US officials hope to persuade Mr. Netanyahu to accept the ceasefire proposal by the time he actually addresses the UN General Assembly.
דברים אחרים, מסוכם. המדיניות שלי, המדיניות שלנו היא ברורה. אנחנו ממשיכים לעקוד את חיזבאללה בכל הכוח. ואנחנו לא נפסיק עד שנשיג את כל יעדינו, ובראשם החזרת תושבי הצפון לבטחה לבתיהם.
My colleague Mohammed Ghazali has been tracking the finer details for us. He joins us live at the moment. Ghazali, concerning times to say the least. But at this point, is a ground invasion in Lebanon by Israel imminent? What are Israeli authorities saying?
Oh yes, it looks very likely that perhaps Israel will take its chances to get into Lebanon. Why? Because Hezbollah appears to be at its weakest point, with many of its commanders, top commanders, have got injured in that pager blast and then explosion in the walkie-talkie, and then these aerial strikes. And some of these strikes have been a precision strikes by Israel, which has killed their top commanders, some of them who are responsible for managing drones, missiles, rockets. So certainly, Israel is not leaving its chances right now. And even Hezbollah, despite having suffered losses of its own men during these explosions and aerial strikes in the last 1 week, continues to fire rockets towards Israel. And this is where the West is very concerned, because last time when Israel got into Lebanon, the results were not very favorable for either side, whether it was Hezbollah or Lebanon or Israeli army, Israeli defense system. But now, why it is very concerning right now, because Israel has clearly said that its own goal is to get its residents back in the northern area, which they have left, fearing the rocket attack from Hezbollah. And Hezbollah had given a challenge or accepted the challenge, saying that we will not allow Netanyahu to fulfill its own demands of getting people to the northern border. Now, just last night, even Houthis from Yemen attacked. They also launched rockets towards Israel, but Israel's aerial defense system managed to intercept it. But that's not the story. The story is that even today, Mr. Netanyahu is expected to address UNGA. Meanwhile, hectic negotiations are going on. Netanyahu has already said that he's not going to accept it. So it looks very likely that this escalation, which nobody is calling it a war, but it formally is a kind of war. We are not getting into the terminology right now here, but it is going to escalate and it's going to continue for some days.
Ghazali, thanks so much for joining us with the latest update. We will, of course, revert to you for regular updates. But joining us from Beirut, Lebanon at the moment, Chadi Abdel Sater, journalist from Lebanon. Thanks so much for making time for us on the World 24/7. Lebanon's Minister for Foreign Affairs has said that Lebanon is enduring a crisis that threatens its very existence. What is your initial assessment of what's unfolding since Netanyahu has refused to accept any ceasefire? Do you think a diplomatic solution is still viable?
Yes, in fact, Israel is escalating now, and Netanyahu mainly want to escalate the war because mainly the Israeli population and the polls shows that they want to come back and return to their homes in the north, and they want war with Hezbollah. They don't want a Hezbollah, a military militia on the border with Israel. That's from the Israeli side. From the Lebanese side, Hezbollah is very related to the Iran So it's decision makers in Tehran. So Iran knows well that a full-scale war with Hezbollah, with Israel, cannot be won. Okay, so the Israeli are escalating, and the Hezbollah is now like refraining. But at the same time, the tension is growing on Hezbollah, and the pressure from its population, the people that backs him in Lebanon, that they back him, that they want him to do something, because what happened was a huge blow to Hezbollah. You know that 4,000 or 5,000 of the top militants of Hezbollah are like out of action now because of the pagers explosions. So we have like thousands of people maimed. We have hundreds of top commanders out of action, permanently out of action. So Hezbollah is now like taking a big blow and is not retaliating, and this put pressure on him.